We are about to begin a conversation with former President Donald Trump. We ask that the professionalism that we all bring to our newsrooms and workplaces every day is the same professionalism that is maintained in this arena.
Yeah, right.
NABJ has partnered with PolitiFact to fact-check this conversation in real time. Bring out the former president of the United States, the Republican nominee for president, former President Donald Trump. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that? You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama.
Although she clearly has no path to the Republican nomination whatsoever, 2024 Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley is for now staying in this race, and she continues to go after Donald Trump, most recently going after him for the size of his manhood, we could say.
While Trump has ramped up personal attacks against Haley, even turned to mocking by misnaming her.
And she continues to go after Donald Trump for the size of his manhood.
Misnaming her.
You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true.
President Barack Obama was born in the United States, period.
Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period.
You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from.
Tweeting, "Go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came." Mr. Trump added, "So interesting to see progressive Democrat congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe."
These are people that, in my opinion, hate our country. And all I'm saying that if they're not happy here, they can leave. They can leave, and you know what? I'm sure that there'll be many people that won't miss them. But they have to love our country. They're Congress people, and I never used any names.
Are you
but
okay
these are
with
people
thinking your
quiet.
Tweets are racist,
Quiet.
Mr. President?
Quiet.
Are you okay with people
Quiet.
thinking your tweets are racist, sir?
Quiet. These
I'm
are
asking a
people
question.
that if they don't like it here, they can leave. And I don't know who's going to miss them, but I guess some people will. And you got to look at her district in San Francisco. It's thousands and thousands of tents and drugs and needles and everything you can imagine floating in the streets in the best neighborhoods. Nancy Pelosi, go home and fix your district, Nancy. Go home and fix your district.
You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys.
Joe Biden's White House is directly involved. The Fulton County DA, who forced Trump to take the mugshot, Fani Willis, allegedly hired the guy she was sleeping with to prosecute the Trump case. Fani's lover boy, Nathan Wade, was just a personal injury attorney you'd see on billboards and never even prosecuted a felony case in his whole career. Fani apparently hired her unqualified boyfriend and gave him nearly $1 million to prosecute Trump. You cannot hire someone you're having sex with, give them a promotion, hand them public money, and then use the public money on steamy trips together. Documents show Fani's lover boy met with the Biden White House while he was investigating Trump. Twice.
You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys.
Posted on his social media platform calling DA Alvin Bragg a Soros-backed animal on Truth Social.
And Alvin Bragg, as you say, continues his work here despite the fact that he's now being called a Soros-funded animal.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist.
On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying
I don't know why you'd
that
say
the
that. It's such a racist question.
Same thing with April Ryan. I watch her get up. I mean, you talk about somebody that's a loser. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing.
But what were you feeling in that moment when you have the President of the United States ordering you to sit down, not do your job by asking a question?
You just have to sit down, please. Sit down. I didn't call you. I didn't call you. I didn't call you.
And in my view, being very aggressive and disrespectful.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I'm not responding. I'm responding to. Excuse me. I'm not responding to you. I'm talking to this gentleman. Will you please sit down?
My view, being very aggressive and disrespectful.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Would you please sit down? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
As a 51-year-old woman, what would you think?
No, you rudely interrupted him. You rudely interrupted him. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All I could think of was this guy's like 1 millisecond away from the N-word. He hates her.
Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, it's a racist question.
She gets to the nonsense about you've attacked black journalists, calling them, quote, stupid and racist and a loser. I wasn't aware as a journalist myself of the rule that you cannot attack black journalists. I'm just now finding this out, that they are too fragile, I guess, for us to call them names. Does the black skin make them just completely weak and unable to take criticism? Because that's not true of the amazing black journalists I know and that I've worked with. I don't know who she's talking about.
You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort.
Now, according to both sides, Trump didn't know who Nick Fuentes was when he met Ye and 3 others, including Fuentes, the white nationalist in this case.
Posting to Truth Social saying, quote, Ye was asking me for advice. We discussed to a lesser extent politics, where I told him he should definitely not run for president. Ending the message with, quote, also, I didn't know Nick Fuentes.
So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke. And I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was
Mr. President,
wrong.
I would love if you can answer the question on your rhetoric and why you believe
I have
that
answered
black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another 4
I have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. Funded the black colleges, as you know,
First president to do that.
Yep. I funded it, and they have long-term financing. Nobody else did it. Obama didn't do it. Nobody did it. I did more for, I say it, and I say it openly, I did more for our black population than anybody other than Abraham Lincoln. Okay? That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the
answer.
Voting Rights Act?
And for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition
the words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition of
Sir,
that.
I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a Black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn Black, and now she wants to be known as Black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
She is always identified as a Black.
And certainly you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good.
Breaking barriers, the first Indian American woman elected to our U.S. House of Representatives will tell us what the addition of the first Indian American woman on a major party presidential ticket means to her. And
but Harris is also Indian American on her mother's side. She's the first Indian American elected to the Senate.
That freshman Kamala Harris was sworn in. She's the first Indian American.
The first Indian American to be elected Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
She is always identified as a Black woman. She went to a historically Black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't.
She was the state's first female attorney general. She's also the first Indian American elected United States Senator.
These kids now have a real opinion about things, huh?
Yeah, and I think that is really shaped by the theme. You know, this year in honor and celebration of Kamala Harris being the first Indian American elected to the U.S. Senate.
California's Attorney General Kamala Harris scripted history as she won U.S. Senate seat from the state, becoming the first Indian American to reach the feat.
California's Kamala Harris is the first Indian American U.S. Senator.
And California's Attorney General Kamala Harris has scripted history as she won the U.S. Senate seat from the state, becoming the first Indian American to achieve this feat.
Very direct question.
Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a Black woman?
We're talking about what would look like change in America right now, and that is a Black woman on the ticket helping this candidate to win.
Look, I agree with you. I've been saying for the longest, Biden has no choice but to pick a Black woman.
Ultimately, your candidate that you would choose as your running mate. And you and I have talked. You know that I prefer a Black female. You've committed to a woman. You've committed to a woman, a Black woman.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a Black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
and
you
I
believe that
think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
I really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know this lady right over there, Harris, is a fantastic person who just interviewed me at length. And we had a great interview, I think, and I heard you got very good ratings on that interview.
You told me it was the longest one of your life, so.
Is that she probably went out to dinner or drinks with other Black journalists who hate Trump, and they got her all wound up and worked up that she's going to own Donald Trump tomorrow and that she's going to come out with a zinger that's going to be really viral. Well, actually, joke is on her. It was so nasty. It was so intense. It was so outrageous that Donald Trump just threw it right back there. But I want to say this. It was a risk for President Trump to go there. I thought he did wonderfully. But President Trump going into that environment would have been the equivalent of Kamala Harris sitting down for questions from Charlie Kirk, Megyn Kelly, and Tucker Carlson at the National Rifle Association or Independent Women's Forum. I mean, that is how, quote unquote, hostile it would have been. And you would have treated Kamala Harris way more fairly than she did. The point is that President Trump did that because he has a heart for the Black community, because he is so tired of being criticized by the media for being racist. I thought he handled everything really, really well. And him going into that environment was a forceful message that This campaign is going to play to win. We are not playing prevent defense. We are not just going to hope this thing comes to us. That's a lot of risk to go there, a lot of risk. You don't know what's going to happen. It's an open-ended forum. I think President Trump is at his best when he is the alpha male of the election. He goes into environments where you're not sure how they're going to work out. There's a lot of unpredictability, some upside, some downside. I thought the entire idea of him going into this type of a forum was a major win.